Welcome to Truth and Dialogue Works. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my analysis and views. We are undoubtedly living in dangerous times, as our governments have chosen to support foreign entities over their own citizens. By doing so, they are jeopardizing our countries, our livelihoods, and our prosperity. Those who can must speak out and raise concerns, no matter the consequences. Please support me and others who are trying to raise these issues and spread awareness. Report. Challenges and implications of Ukraine's plan to recruit 200,000 troops by 2024. Ukraine's recent announcement of its intention to recruit 200,000 citizens by the end of 2024 highlights a critical turning point in the ongoing conflict with Russia. The recruitment drive is part of Kyiv's efforts to bolster its armed forces in the face of overwhelming pressure from Russian forces, particularly in the Donetsk region. However, this strategy comes with significant challenges, raising questions about Ukraine's ability to meet this goal and what it means for the future of the conflict. Critical problems facing Ukraine's military effort. 1. Manpower shortages. Ukraine's ability to recruit 200,000 new troops is already being met with skepticism, not only by Russian media, but also by military analysts. For months, Ukraine has faced difficulties in filling its ranks due to a shrinking pool of eligible recruits. War fatigue, casualties, and the displacement of millions of Ukrainians both internally and abroad have made it increasingly difficult to sustain a military force that can match Russia's numerical advantage. This shortage is exacerbated by the high standards required for conscription. Many able-bodied Ukrainians either do not meet physical or health requirements or have been exempted due to essential civilian roles. As a result, Ukraine may struggle to find recruits without resorting to more drastic measures, such as lowering medical standards or broadening the pool to include older age groups. 2. Pressure from Russian advancements. Russia's rapid military advances, particularly in eastern Ukraine, have created an urgent need for more soldiers. Russian forces, outmatching Ukraine 10-1 in terms of numbers, continue to press forward with significant territorial gains. These advancements threaten to stretch Ukraine's military thin, making it harder for Kyiv to defend key positions in Donetsk and other strategic areas. Without a significant increase in manpower, Ukrainian forces are at risk of being overwhelmed. The urgency of the situation is reflected in Kyiv's decision to lower the minimum conscription age to 20. This measure is a clear indication that Ukraine's current military pool is inadequate to sustain the ongoing conflict. However, even with new recruits, it will take time to train and equip them to be effective on the battlefield. Number 3, Western support and military aid. While Ukraine continues to receive substantial military and economic aid from the West, the situation on the ground remains precarious. Western allies have provided advanced weaponry, intelligence, and financial assistance, but this support alone cannot compensate for the lack of manpower. The reliance on external support, combined with Russia's greater numbers, places Ukraine in a difficult position. The West, while sympathetic, is growing increasingly concerned about the sustainability of the Ukrainian war effort. If Ukraine cannot bolster its forces, Western governments may be forced to reassess their involvement, particularly if Kyiv struggles to maintain a credible defense. Strategic implications for Ukraine. Going forward. 1. Long-term sustainability of the war effort. If Ukraine fails to meet its recruitment goals, the war may become increasingly unsustainable in the long term. The ability to replace fallen or wounded soldiers with new recruits is crucial in any prolonged conflict, and failure to do so would significantly weaken Ukraine's ability to resist Russian advances. This could lead to the further loss of territory and potentially even force Kyiv into unfavorable negotiations. 2. Impact on civilian morale. The decision to conscript 200,000 Ukrainians also risks further damaging civilian morale. After more than a year of war, the Ukrainian population is already under significant strain, with millions displaced and infrastructure destroyed. A broader draft, especially if it targets younger citizens or those previously exempt, may lead to increased resistance among the population and further societal division. Additionally, Russia's propaganda campaigns will likely exploit this, further undermining the Ukrainian government's standing both domestically and internationally. The doubts about the authenticity of certain battlefield footage, as seen in the recent controversy over the execution video, also reflect a broader information war that Kyiv must contend with. Through potential for international pressure. Ukraine's recruitment drive may lead to greater international pressure, especially from its Western allies, who are closely monitoring Kyiv's progress. If Ukraine is unable to significantly slow Russia's advances, there may be growing calls for diplomatic solutions, which could involve territorial concessions or a negotiated ceasefire. This would represent a significant setback for Ukraine, which has so far resisted any negotiations that would result in the loss of sovereignty or territory. Conclusion: a crucial crossroad for Ukraine. The goal of recruiting 200,000 new soldiers by the end of 2024 presents both an opportunity and a major challenge for Ukraine. While bolstering the military is essential to counter Russia's growing advantage, the feasibility of this plan remains in doubt. Ukraine is facing a rapidly deteriorating situation on the battlefield, and the inability to match Russian manpower threatens to weaken its position further. Ultimately, this recruitment effort will be a defining moment for Kyiv. If successful, it may help stabilize the front lines and restore some balance to the conflict. However, if Ukraine fails to mobilize enough troops, it could face catastrophic consequences in the coming months, both militarily and diplomatically. As Russia continues to advance, time is running out for Ukraine to secure its future in this war. Analysis of Ukrainian-Russian War, Day 953, a turning point on the Kursk and Eastern fronts. As the conflict between Ukraine and Russia continues into its 953rd day, significant developments are taking shape on several key fronts. Recent reports from the Russian Ministry of Defense and battlefield updates reveal that the Russian army has made considerable territorial gains. These advances, especially in the Kursk region and other eastern fronts, suggest a potential shift in momentum. Let's analyze the latest updates and what they may mean for the broader conflict going forward. Kursk Front, consolidation of strategic gains. On the Kursk front, Russian forces have recaptured Veselo and most of Obukovka in the Glushkovsky district. Ukrainian troops have also been expelled from the farms of Medveshe. This indicates a further solidification of Russian control over this critical border region. The recapture of these territories near the Russian border aligns with Russia's broader goal of securing buffer zones against potential Ukrainian counteroffensives. The significance of this lies not only in the immediate tactical success, but also in the message it sends about Russia's ability to hold and reclaim territory. If Russia continues to consolidate its gains in Kursk, this could effectively put an end to Ukraine's ability to challenge Russian positions in this region, further diminishing Ukraine's strategic flexibility. Northeastern Front advances along the Pishana River. In the Northeastern Front, Russian forces have made advances east of Kolesnikivka along the Pishana River, capturing the southern part of Stelmakivka. These moves could be interpreted as part of a larger campaign to secure river routes and logistical pathways for Russian reinforcements and supplies, while cutting off Ukrainian lines of communication in the region. The river may serve as a natural defensive barrier for the Russians, enabling them to hold these gains with minimal resources. Seversk Front, gaining higher ground at Spurn. Russian troops have secured the northwestern hills of Spurn, a development that could have a lasting impact on the Seversk Front. By controlling higher ground, Russian forces are positioning themselves in a commanding strategic location, enabling better artillery targeting and surveillance of Ukrainian positions. This could serve as a launch pad for further operations deeper into Ukrainian-controlled territory. Pokrovsk and Donetsk fronts, tactical advances and consolidation. Further south, on the Pokrovsk front, Russian troops have made significant advances north of Seladov and captured most of Sukharin. The capture of this locality pushes Russian forces closer to Ukrainian positions west of Donetsk. Additionally, the continued securing of positions along the Vovcha River salient indicates that Russian forces are methodically increasing their depth of control. Southwest of Donetsk, the Russian army took control of farms north of Kostiantynivka and entered Katarinivka from the south, all while increasing their buffer zone north of Ugledar. These actions point to a larger strategy of encirclement and tightening control around key urban areas, potentially weakening Ukraine's ability to launch future counteroffensives in the region. Strategic implications of Russian high-precision strikes over the past week. The Russian armed forces have carried out a series of precision strikes, including the use of Kinzhal hypersonic missiles and drones targeting Ukrainian energy infrastructure and military airfields. These strikes are designed to degrade Ukraine's military-industrial capacity and hamper its logistics network. Additionally, the destruction of Ukrainian arsenals and troop concentration areas further erodes Ukraine's ability to sustain prolonged defensive operations. The scope of these attacks suggests a broader Russian effort to grind down Ukraine's warfighting capabilities, making it increasingly difficult for Ukrainian forces to regroup, resupply, and launch effective counterattacks. If Ukraine's ability to defend its critical infrastructure continues to weaken, this could lead to long-term consequences, not only on the battlefield, but also in its economy and public morale. Looking forward, a decisive phase. Russia's recent territorial gains, combined with sustained high-precision strikes, indicate that Moscow is not only maintaining the initiative, but also preparing for a more decisive phase of the war. The destruction of Ukrainian equipment and manpower, as outlined by the Russian Defense Ministry, highlights the toll the war is taking on Ukraine's forces. With thousands of troops reportedly neutralized and significant losses in armored vehicles, artillery, and support equipment, Ukraine is finding it increasingly challenging to mount successful offensives. As the Russian military continues to press its advantage on multiple fronts, Ukraine faces the difficult task of replenishing its forces, which are being stretched thin across several battle lines. The question remains, how long can Ukraine withstand these relentless Russian advances? While Kyiv may still look to Western aid and the resilience of its troops for support, the latest developments suggest that time and resources may be running out for the Ukrainian defense effort. Conclusion. The situation on day 953 of the war signals a possible turning point. With Russian forces making steady territorial gains and continuing their strategy of high-precision strikes, Ukraine faces an uphill battle. The conflict is far from over, but the dynamics on the ground appear to be shifting decisively in Russia's favor. If Ukraine is unable to stabilize its front lines and regain momentum, the war could enter a new phase where Russian forces achieve dominance in key areas, leaving Ukraine with fewer options for counterattack. The coming weeks will likely reveal whether these latest developments mark the beginning of a broader Russian victory or if Ukraine can pull off a strategic surprise to reverse its fortunes. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I truly appreciate it, and I hope you found it valuable. If you'd like more content from my side, please press the button and subscribe. But most importantly, it's not just about me. Support everyone who's speaking out and fighting for the truth and our survival. Stay blessed and have a wonderful day.